It's great to meet you, Mick. I'm so happy. You're different than on the TV screen.
Better looking or what?
Better looking.
Oh,
Jean said, I'm in the School of Social Work.
yes,
And I wanted to talk about the word inuktitut
yes,
and Inuktitut,
yes.
the helper and the person who is receiving the help.
Inuktitut.
Yeah,
yes,
Inuktitut
yes,
and Inuktitut.
yes,
And I was wondering if you could talk about, because I understand it means to help
yes,
and to be helped.
yeah,
But also in the book,
yes.
when you have the translations, you have it translated as social work, the
Oh.
social worker.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So can you talk about the word a little bit
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
how it kind of came about and why that is the translation?
Oh, okay. Well,
Is that okay?
it's a very natural thing. It fits into the whole progress that you have ikayuk is a verb. Now, ikayukti is the helper. So ye-ti is the person who does it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, and this is one thing I haven't taught yet, but there's two words to hear. There's tusak. What am I, sorry? Waf. There's tusa. Tusak is a sudden moment of hearing, okay? Tusa is continuously hearing, okay? So supposing you're in, imagine a movie with lots of, and there's one guy whose job is, hunting submarines. There's one guy whose job it is to catch the key single sound. He's a tusakti. The normal thing is a fellow who catches, he's a tusayi, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that out of the way, there is a word tusayi, which has got a definite useless, Jesus Murphy, Janus Murphy, who got a definite, precise meaning. Tusayi is an interpreter.
Mm.
That's the person who listens to you.
Mm-hmm.
They
just do all of the listening.
Yes. Okay, next.
So that's kind of about the ye and ti part, and
Yeah.
I understand that ye and ti is when you are the person who is doing it.
Yes.
But my question is about how come instead of it being translated as help or helper, why in the language is it translated as social worker?
Oh, okay.
Can you talk about that?
Yes. So what you've got is the unilingual Inuk, and you've got our system, and the Tusayi is the person who speaks for you. That's your link between your problems, whatever they are, and the unilingual Khadlunach. You get the idea? Tusayi.
So it's like a person who does the translation.
Yes.
But what if I helped you clean your house? And I would be your ikayuk,
Yes, ikayukti. Yes.
even though it also means a different kind of professionalism also.
Okay,
But I'm
wait a
not being a
minute.
professional, I'm just helping you out.
Okay, wait a minute. I would appeal to Kublu for that.
Okay.
Housework. Yeah. Well, what I
Well,
do.
I just want to say helping, but more casual helping.
Yeah.
Like a friend helping a friend.
I tell you what, seriously, send me an email.
Okay.
I'll connect with Kublu.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So,
I tell you, give me a while. Give me an email. Give me a while. I'll think. I'll ask Kublu, and I'll be right back. And if I don't get back, you give me hell.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
we can talk about, I know that you like to explain the different ways that someone could lose their head.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay. There's a difference between IT and IQ. Okay? So the headless horseman, nyakuitok, head minus nyakuitok. And this is I really like this because it's very precise. So nyakuitok is somebody who is headless. Now, IT means without, IQ means to lose something. Nyakwektok is somebody who loses the head. Then after that, he or she is Nyakwito. Okay? Now, Mary, Queen of Scots. Yeah, it's specific. If I was the one that chopped her head off, oh, poor woman, I would say, oh, for example, well, dear, got bad news for you. Got it? And then when I'd do it, and they'd say, did you use your, yep, there's a head on the floor. You get that? The IQ and the IT.
Yeah.
So you're perfectly in control of that now, I hope.
We hope. What about the ways that you use something for its purpose? So eating soup
Yes.
is not neri, right? You don't
No.
soup. How do you eat soup?
I don't know.
Because I think it's another verb.
It
It's
must
not
be.
to eat.
Well, there must be another word for soup. There must be.
But it's instead of saying neri, which is to eat normally.
My guess would you say tok,
Mm-hmm.
to use as.
To use as. And
Yes.
why do you have that word? Can you talk about it?
Well, the tok is a very useful word for using something. For example, ich will tok, that. Two shy little Inuit ladies in Rankin, in the Arctic years ago. Let me remember this.
Okay.
The plane was coming in. I was going towards the plane with the two little kids, and there were two little lady kids, and we were joking back and forth, and they were pretending to be scared of me, and I said, wait a minute, nearly jangi tagit, I want to eat you, and the priest behind me, and he said, Mick, oh no, wait a minute, little girls I don't, tungi tung, I said, something like that. And the priest behind me was laughing, and he said, Mick, talk doesn't just mean to eat. It means to use in the appropriate fashion, which meant I was suggesting that I didn't do nasty things to little girls. So you got to be really, really careful with that. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You have learned a lot about the language just by making mistakes.
Mostly in embarrassing situations. There is one expression that has two different meanings in two different dialects. Alianak. Okay. Alianak tok. In one dialect, it means alianak tok. It means it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And in another dialect, it means it's fun. So one of my friends was working in northern Quebec, and he went over to the middle of the Arctic into a new place, and I'll get me to make sure I give the right one. So he arrived in this new place, and he said, Nunauna, this land, and I said either Alianaktok or Alianaitok, but whatever it was in that dialect, it means it's frightening. So the gay guy gets over there, gets on and says, oh, no, Alianaktok, and says, my God, we've got a special one this time. He's scared of the land.
He's scared of it.
Exactly. And that can cause all those problems. That's a particular, there are not a lot of them, but that's a particular one.
In relation to your dementia, what is it like for elder people
Yes.
in Inuit communities? What is it like for them and their language skills? Have you seen anyone else kind of go through dementia before?
Oh, you mean among the Inuit?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, because that, Kublu again, but that is, no, I don't know if anybody's gone through that.
Really?
I watched my own wife die of, what was it?
Alzheimer's?
Yeah, what?
Alzheimer's?
Yeah, I watched my own wife die of Alzheimer's. Well, that's a real, get in touch with me. That's a really interesting thing to talk about socially with Kublu. I can't think of any old Inuk I've known.
Something that's difficult for me in the language is how long words can be.
Oh, yes.
Because when we are working in class and we can take our time
Yes.
and we can think about this is a nasalizer
Yes.
and this is a deleter, and we can really build it really nice and slow.
Yes.
That's very different than speaking, and you just have to put it all together and speak, and then the words are so long.
Yes.
So,
Well, of course, Kublu and other Inuit I know teach Inuktitut to Inuit. You know, the way you teach me. And one of the competitions is, what's the longest word you can make? Oh, we must ask Kublu if you remember. Because you get people producing words like this, and the competition is, how long a word can you create? I mean, they love, grammar in English. Oh, Inuit, if you get them right, the right Inuit, they just, there was a time when I was teaching Inuktitut to Inuit students in Rankin Inlet. It was a Saturday, it was a holiday, the school was overheated, and I was sitting there and all the noises of people enjoying themselves outside, and I saw one of my students who was working away, and I looked at her, and she looked up at me and smiled and said, "Alianite to Alok, this is such fun." Really, really. I think that when Inuit get into this, they're not like Anglophones or Francophones who find the grammar boring. They get so excited with the words they can use.
I don't find the grammar boring because it's so, it makes so much sense.
Exactly.
But what, I guess conversationally as a beginner, it's very hard. It's easy in class, but it's very hard conversationally to form those really big words in my head without really being able to think about them. Hard as a non-native speaker is the different parts of your throat used to do pronunciation.
Oh, yes.
So I know you have the chart where you can show us where it's at, if it's the p,
Yes.
So can you talk about, since you're not a native speaker, how did you go about learning to make those pronunciation sounds?
You know, there's one thing I've forgotten that I've got. Have we done the diagram of the mouse?
We have.
Okay.
But that is different than it being my actual mouth. Looking at the diagram is different.
Well, for example, the Q, the K goes here, sinik tok. The Q goes farther back here, adlak tok. And there's a name for the voiceless velar. Well, that's how you miss. And I had, in the previous course, I had somebody who had real problems with the Q. And I said to her, right back, further back than that. You've got to hear it rolling back here. Because that's one of the most common mistakes, is to not go far enough back, to go to a K. Adlak. No. Google will catch you every time. Adlak. Right? Bisuk. Bisok. That kind of thing. So you have to work on the movement of your tongue.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
Yeah, well, you can, if you kind of remind yourself. You can. It really is very important for those two sounds in particular.